Commander here at the Sheriff's Aviation Unit. First off, I just want to welcome you to our facility. We been here since 1970. Helicopters, fixed wing over the years. Currently, we're only a rotorcraft helicopter operation. We see you guys over here on this side of the field at times or whatever, and we want to thank y'all for what you do, and we support you guys just as we know you support us. There's been different missions that we've done over the years, working in conjunction with Civil Air Patrol. And you know, when folks out there need somebody to rescue them or search and find them or whatever, it's all hands on deck. So our commitment to you is, we at the Aviation Unit will always support you and what you do. So going into that, I want to introduce you to my team out here. This is Carl Oder. This is my assistant chief pilot. This is Val. He runs my maintenance department. James Jackson. He's a night patrol pilot. His partner, Brittany Redmond, she's also a night patrol pilot. So winding the clock way back, 35 years ago, I got hired on with JSO. And when I graduated the academy and went to the FTO program and hit the street as a young officer, Mike was my first sergeant. So we go way back. And Mike will always be my friend, and whatever he needs, you know, we're here for him. And the minute that he called and said he wanted to bring the group out, I'm like, let's do it now. So, you know,
on short notice of that.
yeah. So we go way back, and you know, I love him to death. And he's a blue brother forever. So, yeah, well, thank you.
It's called a Bell 407 GXI. It's brand new to us. We bought them new 3 years ago. It's about a 3-year project to get it built, procured, and all that, and all the stuff that we wanted on it. So that's why it took so long to get it, but nevertheless, it's a Bell 407 GXI. The GXI means that it is Garmin 1000. It's got a fly-by-wire throttle system in it, where the old one has a cable and stuff to move. This is all electronic, just like your cars today. Goes about 140, but with the stuff on it, we can get 120 on it, and we can fly at about 20,000 feet if you really want to. Never had it that high. I've been up to 11,000 in it, getting over mountains when we picked them up in Tennessee, and that's the highest I think I've ever been in a helicopter, 11,000 feet. And I've been up to 10 with the doors off in that one. And you look down at 10,000 feet with nothing beside you, it's kind of stupid. But that's a bucket list. Let me go up to 10 and see what, okay, I'm ready to come back down. So normally we fly around, at daytime we fly at 500 feet, nighttime we have a floor of 800. And most practically it's 12 because the highest object in the city is 1,200, so we stay above 12. Just so we don't run into 20 things at night. You can carry up to 5 in the back and 2 in the front, 7 people. Realistically, you won't have much flying time because if people get on board, fuel's got to come out. So we can carry about 920 pounds of fuel in here, about a 3.5 hour burn. Burns about 225 pounds an hour. But realistically, we don't carry that many people. If we do, we wouldn't have a long mission line. We couldn't loiter. Our time on station wouldn't be that great. It's got a Rolls Royce engine in it, 630 horsepower. Turns this rotor at about 413 RPM, and the tail rotor turns about 2,560 RPM. We have floats on the bottom here. Those bottles there are on the bottom. They support the floats. They blow up in case we have water landing. It is imminent. We can deploy the floats. Won't save the helicopter, but it'll save your life because it won't sink. If it does turn over in the water, because all the weight is up there on the top where the engine and transmission are, the helicopter will sink at about 6 feet a minute or 6 feet a second once the water gets in it and it goes down. So trying to get unstrapped from the 4-point horse, get underneath from the cyclic, grab a hold of a door, get open and get out. You can see where that would, if you continue to get down, it's not a good thing. We've gone through water survival training. We have done this in Groton, Connecticut, and I am not a scuba diver. And like I told the person, if God wanted me to be a fish, he'd have made me swim. But I can tell you right now, that's no joke. Getting out of an aircraft, upside down, inverted, or whatever, with nothing you can't see in the darkness, trying to get out of an air ball. And that's water survival training. We go through it all.
So that's how you actually trained to get out of an upside down?
In Groton, Connecticut.
Coast Guard.
It's not, it wasn't a Coast Guard, it's a private facility. The pool's probably the size of this hangar, actually. They have the same exact airframe as this right here. They simulate it. So it says ditching, 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 and you go splash. They have wind, cold wind, they have lightning, thunderstorms, everything. And it goes over and it sinks, and you gotta be able to get out. And part of it is you have to get out once you're sunk. Get out over one seat and get out the other opposite door. So it's a challenge. So anyways, so that's what the floats. When we order them, we want it, because everywhere we fly, to get from here to downtown is over water. Rivers, intercoastal waterway. We don't fly offshore a lot because we're single engine helicopter. We don't usually do it at night either because of the dangers. That's the Coast Guard's forte. They have dolphins that can do a lot more than this aircraft is capable of doing. So, but we got them for that. It has a FLIR ball on the front. That's about $1 million right there. It has a low light camera, high resolution camera, an infrared camera, and it has a laser on it so that we can point stuff out to people on the ground that have night vision goggles on. It's very powerful. It's military grade, and we can only use it in certain circumstances because it will injure people. So that's the camera on the front, and then on the back we have the spotlight that's very powerful. That there, if I turn it on right now and pointed at the yellow thing, it would melt the paint off. Right? So it's very powerful. We have a mapping system that's on the left side. The tactical flight officer, he's the one that talks to the ground units. He's the one that runs the spotlight, runs the camera. That's his job there. We have a split set of tasks that we do. The guy on the right flies a helicopter, the guy on the left does all the other tactical flight officer stuff. But we work in conjunction with each other. The helicopter has dual controls, so both of us can fly the aircraft. That's how that works. The mapping system that's how we know where to go in the city. And it's good for Nassau County, Clay County, St. Johns County. We have a bunch of counties because we are mutual aid agreements with all these counties. We fly out of county a lot and go help other counties, and so the mapping system is what we got to have. We all know where we're going. In terms of that, it has a polycarbonate windshield on the front of it it's impact resistant for birds because we have bird strikes. I've encountered multiple bird strikes in my career, primarily at night. Here, when you hear a thump on the side of the helicopter, I go, what was that? And you find a place to land, and you get out and you see a bunch of stuff down the side of what used to be, and then you start checking the aircraft for damage as well. So the polycarbonate windshields are great for us. And we've actually had several bird strikes directly on that windshield that would have came through, but we also fly with helmets on at night that has visors down as well, so it's 2 layers of protection there. Let's see, what else? Questions? Someone's got a question.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long, I know you said 120 if you're filled up with crew on board, how long does it take you approximately to get from one side of the county to the other?
Depending on headwinds,
Of course.
it can take us from here to Baldwin, probably 25 minutes, and that's hoping that we can get through NAS's airspace direct shot. If we're restricted by either airspace or airspeed, then it can take 30 minutes or more to get there, and that's just running you get close to the 120, is the problem is that's $1 million hanging on the front, and that mount that it's hanging off of, that's the structural part of it.
Okay.
So I don't get close to that 120 mark for me personally. On gusty winds, those are the fans cooling down the infrared. On gusty days, then I throttle back. I don't fly those because you got to anticipate these. And the avionics in here, which will shoot when y'all come up and look at it, it'll tell on you. It'll start ticking at you in your ear, tick, 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 and it's letting you know, hey, you're about ready to hit your sequence mark. So that's about. It takes us about 7 minutes to get up and running from when the phone rings. We go out to the helicopter. It's just like any other computer that you have. It has to start up and boot, or you've got the avionics, the G1000 that has to boot up, the mapping system has to boot up, that has to boot up. So it takes about 7 minutes for us to launch on a call from start to finish.
What about your flight restrictions as far as weather is concerned? Y'all primarily just because I know it used to be, hey, air units down due to weather.
Yeah.
You know?
So we're strictly VFR operations. We do not operate in IFR conditions unless we go inadvertent IMC. We have on this aircraft we have autopilot, and we have the go around button which will level us. If we get inadvertent into it, then it will level the aircraft and start a climb. So
Try to get over the weather.
what it just in case you get spatially disorientation,
Okay.
SA,
Get altitude. Yeah.
then all it does is get your wings level and get you in a positive rate of climb. And then you can figure out what to do after that. But the first thing is leveling the wings,
Right.
getting your aircraft under control when you're in an unusual attitude. So that is what that's for. We can shoot an approach. It's fully coupled down to 50 feet. So we practice that obviously on VFR days because we do fly cross country. We go down to Miami, we go to Georgia, wherever we have to go. So it's great to use the navigation in it, and it's an autopilot, so you can kind of relax a little bit. It's not a fully, it's not a 4-axis autopilot, it's a 2-axis autopilot. So, but it takes your hands off the collector, takes your hands off the cyclic. You just got to keep the pedals in check, and it's nice. I can program a whole flight from start to finish, and it will just run. It's just like an airline. But the autopilot was another safety feature that we did when we got this new aircraft. For that reason. But normally we don't fly in IFR conditions. If we don't get a special to get out, but we can get a special to come back in. That's our regs. It's not like a couple weeks ago, one of our pilots went on top of the police memorial building. Sea fog came in, and Craig went IFR, and we parked the helicopter on top of our police memorial building. That's the airport in there. So that happens, especially during the summertime too. If we're on the west side, because the county is so large, it could be perfectly good weather over there, but crappy here, and we can't get back in.
You know if they're putting a pad in on top of the Blue Cross building now, or is there one?
I haven't heard if they're going to do that or not. There's not much space over there, so I doubt it.
Yeah,
I don't know. So, any other questions?
I want to see you get in here.
What's that?
I want to see you get in.
Oh, you get in that?
I have one last question, and I'll leave
Okay.
it alone and let somebody else. If everybody else, y'all still practice auto rotations?
So yes, I'm a
If
flight
you'll
instructor.
explain what that is for some of the cadets that don't
Auto
know.
rotation is in an airplane. If you're fixed wing, you lose an engine, then you're pitching for an airspeed, and you got to maintain that airspeed. If you get too slow, you stall and fall. In a helicopter, the only thing that's the wing, like you have in your airplane, that's going this way. Well, this wing is rotating this way. Each one of these are little wings. That's what gives us that's how we stay in the air. They turn at 413 RPM, producing the lift. In auto rotation, if we lose the engine, you have to push the collective down. That takes the pitch off the blades, and it makes the rotor spin faster, because this is your life. If this doesn't spin fast, you fall fast. And so an auto rotation is where you lose an engine. That's our way of getting down to the ground. We keep all the energy in the rotor system for the last 100 feet, and you flare real big, and you pull real hard, and you level, and you stop. Come down.
Scare the heck out of whoever might be in
In a normal rotative state, we're coming down around 1,800 feet a minute. So if we're flying in an orbit at 500 feet and we lose an engine, we have 20 seconds and we're on the ground. In an airplane, you have a little bit more time depending on altitude, but in most cases, if you have an engine failure, you just look at the chin bubbles there, you just look between your feet and that's where you're going to go down. And it could be on top of the building, it could be in the field, but we do go through training as part of our ratings, and then we have recurrent training. Every 6 months we're doing auto rotations. And then every year we go out to the manufacturer and they put us through the ringer in their aircraft, which is much more, we're not going to damage our aircraft. So
You practice fulls or just power recoveries for the autos?
pull down autos at the facilities, pull down autos in that one. When they come out here for the 6 months recurrent, we do pull down autos in that one. Not these because of this system right here. That's a bunch of money, and there's hoses, and the skids shake, and then you don't want to lose your. That system is very expensive, so we can't do we don't do the pull down autos on that. But that one is.
Summary of what the unit does. Brittany, if you want to take that rip.
Whether it's a police chase, a manhunt, or a missing person, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office deploys its aviation unit to help.
At 875 square miles, Jacksonville is the largest city in the continental U.S. JSO just started flying 2 new helicopters, which pilots say will help them catch criminals faster and help those who need it the most. Only on News4JAX, Vic Micolucci takes us high in the air on patrol day and night inside the new high-tech crime-fighting tools.
All units responding to a 21 residence in progress with an unknown individuals attempting to break in through the front door.
The call can come in anytime.
So we got a burglary to a residence in progress. We're going to go to that call right now.
And JSO's helicopters can get there in minutes.
All right, we're about 2 miles out right now, and we're going really fast, 130, 140 miles an hour.
And I've got the camera on it now. I'm trying to follow him. That house right there.
In the meantime, 911 dispatch is sending out patrol officers on the ground. They're going to work together and hopefully make sure whoever's inside that house is safe.
Looks like they're making contact right there.
Officers search the property and do not find anyone besides the resident. She's safe. They tell us they treat every mission like it's life or death.
We definitely get to help people, and that's the whole idea here.
I just love doing what I'm doing.
We spent 2 days airborne with the aviation units. Officers Lou Ferreira and Carl Oder in the cockpit. They're among JSO's 12 pilots and 3 mechanics based at Craig Airfield. Now the agency has 2 new helicopters.
A lot of our calls are missing persons. We tend to locate them pretty easily with the new aircraft.
You might recognize this helicopter. JSO has used it and 2 similar ones for about 18 years, but pilots say the technology was getting dated and they wanted to keep up with the times. And while they still use this one, they sold the other 2, and the department bought 2 brand new helicopters. The price tag, nearly $12 million for both of them. Taxpayers could say that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but when you're that person that's out there in the water and you're by yourself and there's no one that can get to you, we're the ones that can get to you, it's worth it.
The new choppers have top-of-the-line technology, autopilot in case of an emergency or bad weather, infrared cameras that can detect heat, even footprints, whether it's dark or light. JSO asking us to keep some of the capabilities confidential so criminals don't know every tool they have in their toolbox.
The camera's a lot better.
We can see threats before they'll see it, and if there's a suspect or something coming around a corner, we'll be able to spot that for them.
It is especially helpful in the dark of night.
And we're going to a call right now of seems like a domestic disturbance. Sounds like a girlfriend trying to run a boyfriend over with a car.
This is a high-priority call, one where every second counts.
Do we have a last known direction of travel for the vehicle?
The Airhawk is first on the scene because the helicopter was already on night patrol.
In Zone 5, be on the lookout for a white Chevy Equinox driven by a Bravo Foxtrot.
This suspect is armed and dangerous.
The charges are going to be aggravated battery. She's going to be signal 0 with a knife and a firearm.
Within minutes, the pilots and patrol officers spot the suspect and they pull her over. The eyes in the sky using a new infrared camera, plus the spotlight as police move in for the arrest.
Yeah, we're going to keep them lit up. They got the suspect out of the car right now. Looks like they're doing a felony stop. Everything's good, and hopefully the victim's okay.
Every mission is important, but some stand out more than others, like this fall when investigators say an ex-Marine shot and killed Nassau County Sheriff's Deputy Joshua Moyers, then shot a police canine.
That's one that sticks out with you because of the efforts that we went through to make this mission happen, to help him.
JSO assisted its neighbors in Nassau County with around-the-clock air support for the manhunt, surveillance from above, even flying with snipers. 5 days later, officers captured the suspect, Patrick McDowell. No matter the mission, these pilots say they'll do whatever they can, however they can. Watching over Jacksonville from above. Vic Michelucci, Channel 4, the local station.
Now, we checked the flight log. JSO's pilots have flown more than nearly 1,800 hours since last April. And during that time, the aviation unit was involved in 192 arrests and finding 244 people missing. They also responded to everything from boat crashes to kidnappings to escaped inmates.
Yes, sir. Had any experience with drones?
Oh yeah, yep.
You're down low, right in their
Yeah,
area, just
yeah.
about.
Whenever they come on scene, they're required to announce that they're there. Just I guess, again, it's communication really, because we'll come down at 200 or 300 feet sometimes if an officer really needs us to get a good angle on something, or if we can't tell what something is, or just, what was it? You weren't working. We had to look for a lady that was in a pond and had to make sure it was actually her and get down low. Well, drones were coming on scene also, and they're like, hey, we're here. All right, great. Let me pop back up to 500. You guys can work 200 and below. So we always keep a separation.
What I was thinking of was just drone interference.
Like random citizen drones. Every once in a while. We haven't seen anything like what they've been talking about up north personally yet, but it's always on our mind.
Now, I'm gonna take a wild step out there. The birds, the helicopters y'all have now compared to what you had when you first came out here.
They were totally.
Yeah, they have GPS now,
They're
all that
old,
good
yeah.
stuff. I don't know, were y'all using 1020 books to?
Oh yeah, back then, yeah, I was looking up, using a book to figure out where you were going, literally.
Yeah. And everything was out the window. There wasn't any of this looking on a screen, so unless they had the floor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody know what floor is?
Yeah.
Forward-looking infrared.
Yeah. The James may have got into it. I've been bouncing between the stations or whatever. But you know, the process to come out here, it's an open door for anybody. All you would do is become an officer with JSO, get your private pilot airplane, and you're a candidate to come out here. We'll teach you everything
That's awesome.
how to be a helicopter pilot. Brittany came out here with her private, and she was in our drone unit, and got her private pilot rating. And I don't know anywhere in the country where somebody's going to train you in a 407. You know, and that's what she's getting training in to get her private.
Yeah.
We love training our own people. We can get people have ratings all the time that we can go out and snag, and you get them here, whatever. But we like building somebody from the base up. We know what we got, you know, and they learn it the way we want them to learn it. So it's a great program. The sheriff is great. We have a great budget process, and it's an expensive hobby, as you guys know, or operation, or if you want to call it that, because you got to be out here if you love it. If you don't love it, you don't even want to be a member out here. But it's expensive, and we're fortunate that we have an administration that supports us 100%. So before we move to the next station, you'll get to go out there to the helicopter and see it. Again, it's expensive. It's a $7 million helicopter. The camera hanging off the front is $1 million. There's a black scuba tank, we'll call it, sitting underneath the aircraft that inflates our flotation devices. If we had to go in the water, that tank is $65,000. The black spotlight on the back is $100,000. Each one of them rotorcraft, or each one of them rotor blades out there is $185,000. Expensive. So the news media wanted to come out here and question me or talk, you know, they always have a motive. So they wanted to ask me, how could I justify $7 million to the taxpayers? And my response was this: if you live in our region and you have access to that type of resource, you should consider yourself blessed. If you're a taxpayer and you never use that helicopter, it may cost you a few pennies or a few dollars throughout the year. But if your kid or your family member or your grandmother with dementia or your 3-year-old daughter is at Hannah Park and somebody goes missing, to them it's priceless.
Absolutely.
So consider yourself blessed if you never have to use that service. And we thank you for you contributing to it as being a taxpayer. And they just stopped, they left. I mean, it was over.
You saved one life.
Yeah.
You've already justified that.
Well, I can tell you this, mainly because of the Sheriff's Aviation Unit and some other resources we have. We don't get a lot of the emergency services type call outs that other jurisdictions do in more rural areas of the state or the country. And you can thank this, because it's here for you. And you know, it's like you said, you pay taxes a few dollars, but that's an invaluable resource when you need it.
So every one of y'all have access to be out here one day. You know, make the right choices, make the right decisions, don't hang out with the wrong people. And you know, you too can be out here. I don't know anywhere else that you can go to with a private pilot airplane and they're gonna put you in a $7 million helicopter to go chase bad guys. So
Absolutely.
It's a great, great program.
Who has ever worked on a vehicle, on a car? All right, so most of you guys have. So you guys know the process: suck, squeeze, bang, blow. We have the compressor section right here, which sucks in the air. It compresses the air, sends it through the cross tubes into the combustion chamber. Right. This combustion chamber is where all the magic happens. You have the igniter, which is like a spark, right? Then you have the fuel nozzle, where the fuel comes in, and with that compressed air, you have a big boom. With that boom, it sends the pressure through all the rotors, which spin the spline on a shaft that in the gearbox that sends one shaft out to the aft section, to the tail rotor, and then the other shaft goes to the transmission, which is right here. Once it's in the transmission, sending into the transmission is roughly around 6,317 rounds per minute, and the transmission converts it to 413 rounds per minute into the mast, and then from the mast it goes on the main rotor head. All right. So in between on the mast you have the swash plate, which the swash plate gets plenty of grease, as you guys can see in here. This is something that gets done every 50 hours. And if there's no grease, then we have a problem. Same thing with oil. If there's no oil, we have a problem. All right. A lot of our hardware gets safety wired. So we have different size safety wires. We do have different size bearings on the helicopter. We have different size seals on the helicopter as well. And different size pitch links, right? Pitch links is what turns the rotor blade, changes the angle of attack of the rotor blade. On the cyclic is what moves the helicopter forward, aft, left, and right. All right, how does that do that? Well, through different bushings and bearings. All right. The helicopter also has different antennas for different accessories. You have the starter generator, starts the aircraft and generates electricity. On here, who knows what's wrong with this belt? Yes.
It's a little bit torn.
It's torn. What else? What's wrong with this belt?
Oh, it's got some missing teeth.
It's missing teeth. Yes. See that?
Yep.
It's missing teeth. So this was found on the pre-flight. This is stuff that we do. We look out for stuff that is missing, stuff that disintegrates. And then right here, who's a good troubleshooter?
Come on, there you go.
There you go. All right. So find out what's wrong with this pack. So this is called the Thomas coupling, and what that is it bends. It allows the tail rotor to bend. Right. You have a shaft that goes from the engine all the way to the tail rotor. Now, we know that the helicopter vibrates a lot, right? And what allows the shaft to vibrate is those disc packs. And the helicopter has 6 disc packs all the way to the tail rotor that allows the shaft to bend if needed. And one of the inspections that we do is we inspect the disc couplings. And once he finds what's wrong with the disc couplings,
Well, it's cracked back here.
yep, that's it.
Right.
So, yeah, you become a So this is stuff that we look out for right here. Stuff that's broken, stuff that's missing. That's all part of being a mechanic, all right? Obviously, this one failed the inspection. All right, so on the helicopter, you also have the camera and a joystick, almost like playing a video game. This right here is for the turbine temperature sensor. It sends a signal of the temperature through these probes right here of the turbine itself to the cockpit, where you have different gauges. You have engine gauges, and then you have obviously different aircraft gauges. This is an altimeter, tells you height above sea level, and we inspect that. And on we have a police radio on our helicopters that we make sure they are operable, and then Garmin 430.
I'm gonna jump in here real quick, Val.
Yep.
So over here on the maintenance side, a lot of times as police officers, we're wearing our fresh uniforms, badge and a gun, and we're at podiums getting awards, or we're out in the neighborhood doing, you know, different speeches to the community or whatever. Well, it's not all about the police side of it. It's the maintenance side. He's a civilian, and they go everywhere we go. If we're at a podium getting an award, we want them here. Because I can't take a certificate of appreciation or a thank you for finding somebody. Look what they're the ones that did all this to allow us to get out there and do it. So we share our thank yous and our successes. They're included with us when we get awarded different things or whatever. Honesty. How many people pre-flight before they go flying? Everybody. I would challenge everybody to make sure they do post-flight inspections. You want to do post-flight inspections to find something after that flight, not necessarily at the end of the day. So every time we do pre-flight and post-flight. Telling the truth. You're flying these aircraft, or you're working on them, you break a seat belt, you twist a knob off a radio, or you crack the window, whatever it is you do, you declare it. You don't pass that mistake on to somebody else. Out here, a few years back, I had an employee make a $150,000 mistake. I presented a mistake, I presented a solution, and I was reminded about what kind of discipline are you going to do to that employee. And I said, I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to write them a letter of accommodation, and I'm going to tell them thank you. There is no discipline. What? What do you mean? The minute you discipline somebody for telling you and being honest on a $150,000 mistake, I said, do you realize what you just created? And they're like, no, what? I said, you just created a unit of 9 liars. So tell the truth. If it's $1 mistake or $1 million mistake, don't pass that mistake. Own it, declare it, let the unit fix it, let the organization fix it, and if they can't, then shut it down and park the aircraft. Everything has to be done in the name of safety. So that's how we operate out here, you know, is transparent, trustworthy, declare mistakes because we're not perfect or whatever. Val's a civilian, we need a mechanic. If anybody's AMP or about to be AMP or whatever, we would love to put you down for an interview because we need a mechanic. So whether you guys go down the police side or want to fly, or you come over and want to do the maintenance side or whatever, there's room for everybody at the table. Because the folks that are not here is our dispatch center. The folks that are not here is our patrol officers on the street, the dog unit, the horses. It is all hands on deck with everything we do, you know. So as Lieutenant Davis knows, it's a team. Just as y'all know, it's teamwork, you know. So when we all work together.
And with that, this right here is the Bible. This is called a manual. As you see over here, we have all the manuals on the board that we bring with us when we work on the aircraft. Why do I have a laptop here? It's because on the new aircraft, all of the manuals are electronic. So we actually have to log on to the manufacturer's website and pull up the manuals every time. That's why on my toolbox you see a laptop on there. With the rotor blades, this one right here, as you see, this is honeycomb and it's aluminum, right? On the 407s, those are actually composite. This is from a 206, which is a 2-bladed helicopter. Corrosion on aircraft. So corrosion is like cancer, all right? It disintegrates the metal. That's why we have to upkeep the aircraft. We look out for corrosion, and if we find corrosion, we always try to treat it. With the helicopter, it has brake pads too. So these are pucks that stop that whole main rotor from spinning. These little things right here. On the helicopter, on the skids, both of the skids have shoes, alright? Just like you guys have shoes, and over time they wear out, the shoes on the helicopter wear out as well. Alright, so this is something that we look out for during our inspections and after they come back from a training mission. If we do not replace the shoes, then this happens. So that's why it's very important to change your shoes. Right? Who knows what an ELT is?
Guys, it does.
ELT.
You can raise your hand if you know. No.
Yes.
That's the black box, right?
Yep. Emergency locator transmitter. So with that, we have one on every aircraft, and this is actually a battery pack for it. That goes in there. I don't think I talked to you guys about. Did I talk to you guys about the freewheel unit?
I don't think so.
So what is a freewheel unit? Well, what would happen if the engine failed on the helicopter? Would it fall out of the sky? No. So a freewheel unit actually allows the main rotor head to keep spinning. How? Through a spread clutch. Right? It allows it to spin one way. So with that, if the engine failed, the transmission is still spinning where it's left off, and it has enough air to actually come down and glide like an airplane. So that's why we have to have a freewheel unit, almost like on your washing machine.
It's kind of like, you may not ever drove a stick shift, but it's almost like pushing the clutch in. If your engine dies in a stick shift, you immediately push that clutch in, the car will keep rolling.
You jump in.
If you don't push the clutch in, it's going to get dragged and it's going to stop. Well, that freewheel unit is kind of like the clutch in a car. When the engine quits, it automatically disengages or pushes that clutch, if you will, and it allows that main rotor system to keep spinning so you can auto rotate down. Without that, the rotor system stops spinning and then you just free fall. So it separates the engine from the transmission in the event of an engine failure.
Let's come over here. We have some more toys to talk about. This right here is called a torque multiplier. Who's strong here?
Move down, just a little bit down.
Come over here.
Sure.
Come down.
Pick it up. You can do whatever you want.
Pick this up.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate it. It's got some weight to it, huh? So that's a torque multiplier for the Jesus nut. This right here is an adapter for it. Come over here. Pick this up.
But again, if you
It's got some weight to it, huh? Yeah. So a lot of stuff on the helicopter, especially tooling wise, is heavy. So that's why we have multiple personnel assist us if we're working on the helicopter.
We don't do it.
To pass, let's say if we have this on, if I'm working on the top of the helicopter, then I have another person that's passing me the torque multiplier. This right here is a balancer for the tail rotor. Alright, so we do a static balance on the tail rotor if it comes off, and once the tail rotor is on here, we balance it, and then we do a dynamic balance on the aircraft while it's running. Alright, we hook up our track and balance equipment, and we balance it that way. We have different push and pull gauges. For example, for that AC belt, we have to make sure that the tension on there is accurate. We have different torque wrenches, different sizes. Whenever there's oil, there's always pressure. So this is a dead weight tester or a pressure tester. This right here is a Barfield turbine tester. So to make sure that your TOT is reading correct. Obviously, we do a lot of electrical. That's why we have a multimeter, and this right here is another ratchet or that we use to torque the Jesus nut.
These are some good aircraft, and we stay on top of them or whatever. We basically, like he said, talking about that red book, you know, Bell pushes out the information on how to maintain them and when to do what. And that's kind of what the plan that we follow. And it's a great plan.
Any questions?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, how did you get into
That was kind
being a
of what I was
helicopter
thinking.
Yeah.
mechanic?
So I started aviation when I was still in high school. I went to Frank H. Peterson, and while I was there, we actually drove to FSCJ Cecil Field to get our A&P. And after I graduated, I finished my A&P license, and then I went to work for Cayman Aerospace. After Cayman, I went to work for Northrop Grumman. I was out there, and then I went to Boeing on the F-18s, and then I got hired on here. I've been here for 5 years.
Let me ask you a question. If somebody gave you a full scholarship to go get your A&P, would you have really snapped that up?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Well, let me tell you, a Civil Air Patrol cadet is offered that, and not one person, not one put in for it, not one.
Yeah, I would encourage you guys to do it. I love what I do. I'm very privileged to be here, and we have fun here.
And you get paid, so.
And you get paid for doing what you love to do.
Yeah.
Come on.
And listen, I wasn't going to talk about pay stuff, but I will being y'all went there. It's a great package, a great salary package, but there's more to it than just that. Like I talked a while ago, you're part of a team, the JSO team. And in addition to that, if we buy a part from somebody, we want to be boots on the ground and look at their facility. So I travel around a lot to the different vendors. And so many people who make these parts that you're looking at today, we go to their facility and we see these red boxes painted on the floor all around the different areas of their facility. And we're like, what is these boxes for? In that environment of these vendors where these guys and girls that work in this environment, they got to stand in this red box to talk on their phone because they want to see who's talking on their phone during work hours. That ain't how we do it around here. You know, if you're out there working on an aircraft, you take a break and you come in here and use your phone. You know, we have great work environment. You know, some other places maybe don't have that. So I would love for all y'all to go to A&P school and sit right here at this table and interview to come out here. We need mechanics. So it's a great, great environment to work in. There may be some high-paying place across town or whatever, but I promise you, it will not give you the satisfaction of being part of JSO. It's an amazing organization. I've been out here on this concrete since I was about 10 years old. My daddy used to be a unit commander out here. I'm 55, and I'm about to end my 35th year with JSO. I don't regret 1 minute of it at all. You know, I love it today just as much as I did the day I got hired on. So, you know, we would welcome y'all to our team, either on the police side or over here.
I gotta agree with you. I've been here 45 years. 45 years. That's a long time, folks.
Yep. Yep. So, yeah, it's some good benefits. Sorry I got sidetracked.
No, you're good. Questions?
Any questions for either one of us?
I'm just gonna say, I appreciate you saying the mechanics are as important.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just because, especially in civil air patrols, like, oh, I want to be a pilot. I want to be a pilot. But those planes are not going to fly without the mechanics.
Exactly.
So those, I mean, guys on the ground are more important than the pilots. I mean,
and again, going back to the JSO team, you may not want nothing to do with this or out there. You may want to work in the school or be a K-9 officer or be on the SWAT team or be a detective. I mean, it's just, you know, it's just once you get hired on as a patrol officer, after that, you know, the world is, you go wherever you want to go. So for the cadets or whatever, I want to commend you guys and girls for what you're doing. You could be anywhere tonight, you know, and you're here. So the fact that you're here, I support you. Make great decisions in life, study hard, do the right thing, get away from the wrong people. You know, I challenge you to do good. I challenge you to succeed. I mean, somebody needs to replace me and Carl and these other adults up here. I mean, this is all about y'all. You know, we can't drive the boat forever. So some folks, you know, think they can or whatever, but sometimes we gotta get out and hand it to the youth. So with that, there was one question that, what was your name?
Paul.
Paul asked me out there, and I said, save it for the end. And maybe some of you guys asked it in the different little areas, but it's training. We're very big on training. We do a lot of training in-house with in-house instructors, but we also do a lot of training in Texas at Bell Helicopter and through another vendor that we use. We do full-on autos. We do all the emergency procedures that Bell wants us to have and to do. And, you know, a lot of the trainings that we do in today's world that we live in, a lot of them are insurance-based reasons, you know, just to meet certain qualifications. So training's expensive, but like we talked about, you know, the equipment is paramount. You have to have it for what we do. So as you guys and girls are at home and you hear the helicopter or whatever, say a prayer for their safety. You know where they come from. You've seen our maintenance department. You've seen a handful of our pilots, and this is who's out there serving and protecting y'all as well as me and all of us in here when we're at home doing things with our family or sleeping or whatever. So we love you, we support you, and we welcome y'all out here anytime.
Thanks. Thank you.